tonight. I'm going downtown. 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 Hey, ain't nothing you can tell me that I.
Today is Thursday, November 7th, and you are listening to In the Core. My name is OT, and I'm one of your co-hosts for this amazing show. And to my right, as always, is my fellow co-host Swap. So what's up, Swap?
Welcome back, listeners, loyal listeners. After a one week bye week here at In the Core, we are back and we are ready to go. OT, how are you doing?
I'm good. You know, I actually had a few people come up to me and say they missed me. Miss my voice and all that. They miss you too.
You don't need to lie to the audience, OT. So.
They're listening though, so they're gonna let you know when they see you that they actually miss me, and they miss you a little bit too.
What was going on last week? So we had a couple things going on, but OT had a little something special. Am I correct?
I always have stuff special. Swap, what are we talking about in particular?
You had a nice interview on Saturday, and that was one of the reasons why we couldn't record last week. But how did that go? Do you think you did well?
It was alright. I mean, my Saturday was actually super, pun intended. It went well, you know, got some positive feedback, and future's looking bright over here. You know, I'm just trying to get on your level, you know.
OT trying to leave In the Core and move on to better things.
I gotta think about my family. I gotta think long term.
So that was Saturday. We couldn't record Sunday because our producer and myself are both celebrate the Indian and South Asian Festival of Diwali. So that was a little that was good. That was good fun for us.
So what, you get food?
Yeah, lots of food. Good food.
I see you know, you're getting a little chubby there, so must have been a good celebration.
Good times. I'm not at your level yet, but you know, I'm working my way there.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, the bye week was good for everyone. You know, I took care of some injuries that I had. Yeah. You know,
the lower back injury,
and all
that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our producer seems to still be taking
crazy, you know,
two bye weeks back to back.
The things we do to get you guys the information and the stories and the fun. It's crazy. And sometimes we need to take care of ourselves.
So producer Gurveer is not here today, and you may notice the audio suffer in terms of quality because of that. But we'll try to do our best, and he will be back next week.
Yeah, and the weirdness on the show will be limited today. I apologize. I'll try my best to be as weird as I can.
Not that much awkwardness on the show today.
Okay, awkward. That's a better way to put it. But shout out to our therapy team, you know, our beds and all that. So
good show today. We have a guest who's going to talk a little bit about the FIFA 2014 video game.
You know, ultimate team. Functionality within the game, the feature within the game, which builds a great community of, I guess, soccer fans around the world. So it's pretty interesting. I was looking into it recently.
All you FIFA fans out there, and we know there's a lot of you. You'll enjoy that a bit later on the show. We'll also talk some English Premier League and Champions League with them as well. So soccer fans, you're in for a treat. We're going to talk a lot about the NFL this week as well. Big stories all around.
A lot to talk about in the NFL this week.
The biggest story of the week, at least here in the greater Toronto area, was with our beloved mayor, who was making he was on the front page of CNN.
Yeah. I was all over the place. On Twitter even, you know, he trended. There's actually a professor in Manchester with the same name as Rob Ford, and he had to tweet multiple times that, listen, people, I am not the guy you're looking for, and if you want me to be your mayor, you can ask me, but I'm not the guy.
Poor Mayor Ford. For those of you who don't know, Mayor Ford finally admitted to committing the allegations that we all had heard about a couple months ago.
You just weren't asking the right questions, Swap.
And I'm telling you, there were quotes that I will never forget from that admission. Drunken stupor. I need to find out what a stupor is.
Come on, Gurveer. Google it for us. Always not here.
And to the response of why did you lie? The response was, you just didn't ask the right question. So that's just golden right there.
No, there's a certain way you got to frame stuff, you know, Swap. You can't just say, how are you doing today? You have to ask specifically, how are you doing today, this morning, and whatever else.
And we make sure that we ask the right questions here on In the Core.
Exactly.
So what do you think? Do you think, so Rob Ford is saying that he's going to stick around, he's not going to step down, and he's going to run for re-election come October 2014.
Crazy enough, you know, I was doing some research into this, and he might win.
I think he
If
might
not
win.
even a might. He's still
the favorite to win. The sad part about this is he's actually apparently, and I don't live in the city, so I don't know much about it, but he's done, and neither do you, but he's done a lot of good. Apparently the amount of wasted money he has cut dramatically, and things are more lean, and as industrial engineers we can appreciate that.
Yeah, we can appreciate that.
He really did stop the gravy train, as was famously quoted during his election campaign. Unfortunately, everything else around him.
Yeah, and one of his aides actually resigned again this week, so he's down to maybe 2 people from his original, I guess, group of aides or whatever, and going for re-election and, bringing new people around him all the time, and not to take away from any good he's done, it's just what sort of message is he sending out to the people of Toronto and to the youth in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. If you lived in the city of Toronto, would you vote Mayor Ford?
I mean, I'd have to look into who else would be running.
So Karen Stintz, who is the TTC chair, CEO, not CEO, but the chair of TTC, and she's done she's famous for standing up to Rob Ford in the whole subway battle. Right.
And we've seen the results of that. Construction going on at Union Station. So she's doing a lot for the city. Construction, I see it every day, all right? I go take the GO bus, and every day I see it. And
I know that decision was made a bit before her time.
Okay. Still giving her love for that. But you know what? If she's a good candidate, I don't know if I'm obliged to vote or able to vote.
We are not, unless we move, which you never know.
It's a real possibility
we might be residents
I don't know.
of the city.
I don't know.
Come October 2014. So maybe we need to get out there and vote. My mayor's an old guy.
Right.
No one knows who he is.
But hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Facebook, let us know what you think about Rob Ford. We're not politics majors out here, but we can have a good conversation about it.
The other, the big story that's happening right now,
real time.
11,
trust me, whenever
11
you hear
o'clock
this,
in the morning.
Whenever you hear this, you want to get on this.
11 o'clock in the morning. Well, maybe now you don't. Maybe it's. I'm thinking.
Too late?
I'm thinking the peak's done. But then again, I didn't think that there was going to be a peak. But Twitter, which released its IPO, initial public offering, earlier today. Initial public offering at $26 a share.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere in the range of $46 now.
Whoa, that's almost double.
80%.
80%. Good math, Swap. Good math.
This is Bitcoin style.
Let's not go there.
But yeah, so Twitter, unlike Facebook, doing very well, creating a lot of hype and frenzy around it, but it looks to me like a bubble. Someone's really, unless you're trading short term and you're going to sell in the next 5 to 10 minutes, this looks like a bubble. I don't think it's going to last at 46 for much longer.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect that sort of growth to continue for a long time. 80% in 30 minutes, you said?
Something like that.
Like that. You can't expect that. So, I mean, if you want to buy now and sell high or whatever, do it. We might even drop a tweet so our real-time listeners or our real-time Twitter users.
Although we don't condone or we don't support any of the statements that we make on this. In the core is not responsible for your financial gains or losses.
Yeah, so don't come after us if something goes wrong. But we're just telling you what happens.
We're just reporting the news.
Yeah, we're just telling you what you might not be able to see because you're too busy to see it.
Exactly.
It's serious. Are you going to buy some shares?
I don't touch tech. I don't know how to read tech at all.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. Who knows? I'll talk to my brother. He's into this sort of stuff. So talk to my boy Charles as well. Shout out to Charles. He's into this stuff.
We need to bring in our good friend Jonathan Hamway to give us have some more discussion.
He's big into all this stuff, eh?
Big is the relative word.
Right.
Big and successful are two different terms.
If you can, shout out to Jonathan. If you can talk some sports.
He's not listening to this. He's not listening to this. So
he might just listen this week.
Other big news in the tech world, though. BlackBerry, our beloved Waterloo-based Canadian-owned company, formerly known as Research in Motion, is no longer going to be private. Mm-hmm. They are instead going to change their CEO.
They're going
to pay their CEO $22 million to leave.
Okay. Can't comment.
OT can't comment, but I can comment, and I'm just going to say that this looks like the last straw. I think now the only thing left is bankruptcy, in my opinion. The shares are down to close to $6.
I thought you said you can't read tech.
I can't read tech in the sense that I'm not trusting of myself. But like I said, I thought that when Fairfax made an offer, I thought they would take it and run.
Right. And I mean, Fairfax is still the major or the main stakeholder of BlackBerry or number one investor in BlackBerry or whatever. Still providing cash, helping BlackBerry raise a lot of cash. So cash is going to help them.
So the news isn't as intense as we thought it would be, as we might think it would be. But still, I think that a full buyout and to go private and to cut your product line and just a complete restructuring would be in store or would be necessary for any sort of saving of BlackBerry.
Right.
But at this point, if they're going to continue making handsets and try to compete in a market which they are last, if anything.
I mean, when you think about the big players, you definitely
I wouldn't call.
They were on the bubble of the
a big player.
No, I said dude, they used to be a big player.
Used to, but I wouldn't call them a big player anymore. And I don't even know if I can call them a player.
Can't comment.
So that's what's going on in the market. We talked a little bit about Rob Ford. We're going to have a good show today. Football, big news in football. We're going to talk a little soccer. We're going to talk a little NBA. The NBA season is well and going.
Yes, sir. It's on and going. I'm going to preview that for you or let you know what's been happening and let you know what to expect.
The first show in the month of November. You know what the month of November means? Two things. But
no shave Novembers?
No shave Movember. So I don't know if any of you out there are helping support the cause for men's health, whether you donate or participate. We could use the help. I think we'll put our team up on Facebook.
Yeah,
we got a few people.
Guys,
Join our team, help support, donate. We just want to see you grow those beards out, grow those mustaches out, and help promote men's health for the rest of the month. And also the month of November, something important that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, Remembrance Day, November 11th. So buy your poppies.
Yes, sir.
You have no
red poppies. I was reading an article this week about Ottawa students with the white poppies.
That's just no.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of my friends yesterday actually about how they changed that. When we were kids, they used to have the green in the center, and now they have the black. There's a black, like the middle of the poppy is black as opposed to green. And
for as long as I've known personally, it's been black, but I don't know the history. So.
No, from when I was a kid, I know for a fact that they were green. And I think in actuality, like the actual poppies grow green. So anyways, we'll talk a bit more about that later in the show, but make sure you guys head on to either Tim Hortons or the Royal Canadian Legion and show your support. You have no excuse.
Shout outs. I promised a few shout outs,
Okay, shout outs.
Can't help it, these fans and all that. So shout out to Miriam, one of our number one listeners.
I couldn't hear you. Mary?
Miriam.
Oh, Miriam. Sorry, Miriam.
Shout out to Miriam. Shout out to my parents, 25-year anniversary this week. So shout out to my parents. Woo! And all that. So Swap, I'll be looking forward to some of your anniversaries soon. Share with the listeners once in a while.
25 years, eh?
25 years.
Trying to do the math in my head. I don't know how long my parents have been married for. Anniversaries? None this week, that's for sure.
Not this week, okay.
None
when
this
it
week.
happens, let the listeners
When they happen, we'll make them. There was an anniversary that I just can't remember. Oh! There's a big anniversary.
NFL Network?
NFL Network.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
birthday. 10th birthday.
Yes, sir. Channel 77 for our Rogers.
Channel 419 as well as 549 for Rogers listeners if you want the HD. I don't know if you don't want the HD, you go to 77. But if you want the HD, 549.
I'm always trying to change the settings on my TV.
Do you have HD?
I guess so.
What do you mean you guess? Is the box an HD box or is it a...
Yeah.
Then 549, man.
549.
You got to see Rich Eisen in that HD.
Dude, his baldness up top is just...
Rich Eisen is a legend.
Deion Sanders in HD? Come on, sign me up.
Warren Sapp.
Dude, Warren Sapp in HD. Sign me up, man. Sign me up.
Oh, man. Okay, so good show today. We're going to come back, talk some football. You guys are listening to In the Core.
You asked me a question back in May, and you can repeat that question.
The question we asked you back in May?
Yeah.
Can you explain
the video did
you asked me a couple questions, and what were those questions?
Do you smoke crack cocaine?
Exactly. Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
When,
But
sir?
no, do I? Am I an addict? No.
When have you
I
smoked
tried it? Probably in one of my drunken stupors, probably approximately about a year ago.
Okay, so we are back with In the Core.
OT, I got some breaking news.
Oh, okay.
From the makers of Tebow Watch 2011-2012, Favre Watch 2004 to 2010. We now have Twitter Watch 2013, and as we mentioned, Twitter was
copyrighted.
Was rocketing earlier on at 11 o'clock hour. Went all the way up to close to $49 a share. And now we are down to 45. So this thing is starting its fall, as I predicted.
Can I take a break to call my brother? Here. I got to call him up and tell him not to invest my my entire savings account just yet.
Oh, man. Okay. So that's just a little update, and we'll keep you updated in the rest of the show how our beloved stock is doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to talk some football now.
We're getting into it now, eh? Back to the meat of the show.
Yeah, coming off our bye week, we got a good list of topics here. Let's start with a little recap of last week, OT, and what happened? A lot of upsets, I'd say, happened.
A lot of upsets. I mean, the Jets took out the Saints. I was actually listening to that game on XM radio because I was in the car, and it was down to 4th and forever or 4th and 14 for the Saints.
You have XM radio?
I have XM radio, man.
Ooh,
subscription.
Free, or is that? Do you pay for that?
It's like what, $100 a year or something like that?
I don't know. I don't have XM radio, so I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, we had the Jets, take out the Saints, and what was it? New England went crazy on Pittsburgh. Was it record offense for them?
It wasn't. It was 24-24 at one point. Just FYI.
It was a close game at one point, and then it all went downhill from there for the Steelers.
And I'm going to coin this: teams that cannot buy a win.
Yes,
Pittsburgh
sir.
Steelers. Which was okay, but Houston, which we talked
about. I went to sleep thinking it was over.
Andre Johnson ruining my fantasy hopes. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yes, sir. And Tampa versus Seattle.
Oh, man.
They started that game I think it was 21-0 as well. Well, 24 for Houston, but 21, I think, for Tampa. And check back, and Seattle wins.
So, okay. And we'll talk about the story behind this a little later in this segment. But during the Dolphins presser, a lot of questions about different things.
Yes,
Richie Incognito, all these stories coming out. A lot of questions. Packed room with a bunch of media.
Yeah,
At the end of the presser, the guy stands up and says, "Any questions about the Bucs? Who they're playing?
Who they're playing
today,
next week
or this weekend?" And silence.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bucs, though. They still have some good players up there. So.
Greg Schiano, that guy's got a name for a pizza company.
Yeah. And his reputation by the week is going down.
For those of you who
follow, still winless this season, right?
Yeah. For those of you who
Tampa Watch.
For those of you who follow NFL Guy on Facebook, you'll know his hatred towards
He hates him
Greg Schiano.
Very much so. And apparently so do some Tampa players, actually. So we'll see how that develops over the course of the season.
How about Philadelphia, eh?
Nick Foles.
Man, that was...
offense just...
I need to pick that man up.
Raiders actually...
On a fantasy basis.
Yeah, okay.
On a fantasy football basis.
Raiders' offense is actually decent, but Nick Foles, NFL record. He had
tied an NFL record. And they could have gone to break it, and I don't know why they didn't.
Nah, I mean, it's respect. I mean, the coaches, as much as they, teams get on the field and they want to kill each other, there's still respect between the players.
That's probably the only accomplishment he'll ever have in the NFL.
Who knows? That might have been his breakout, Philly's looking good this year, especially with the way their division is set up. Cowboys inconsistent, Giants inconsistent.
Well, the Cowboys are 5-4. I don't know if the Phillies. I mean, I
don't know the record, but
Eagles are gonna.
This could be what kicks it off, right?
San Diego.
Yeah, he actually. Sorry, just before we move on, he had more touchdowns than incompletions.
Wow. Good performance.
Yes, sir.
It always seems to happen against Oakland. I remember Brett Favre had his amazing performance after his father died against Oakland.
Yeah, remember when Kurt Warner did that to the Packers?
Huh?
Kurt Warner did that to the Packers in the playoffs?
Okay.
Okay. Let's move on.
No. We got it. Because this was actually on NFL Network this week.
Right.
Top 10 quarterback duels of all time.
Right.
And this was number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Arizona, Green Bay, Kurt Warner.
I expected that.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So they both went toe-to-toe. And the game was decided by defense.
Yes, sir.
So let's just leave it at that.
Who got picked off?
Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
How many Super Bowls has Kurt Warner ever won?
Oh, you're taking it there?
How many Super Bowls has Aaron Rodgers ever won?
You taking
One.
it there?
Aaron Rodgers is only 26.
Okay.
Or something like that. So San Diego.
Yes, sir.
That was an upset, don't you think?
I think so.
Washington's pretty...
They're good, but I mean, you'd expect, because RG3 is still trying to find his way, right? So you'd expect, Phillip Rivers being the veteran to lead his team in overtime and all that, and Keenan Allen doing his best rookie of the year impression or whatever. They fell short. They had a touchdown called back actually in the fourth quarter in the last 1 minute. Mm-hmm. I thought it was, again, I was listening to XM Radio. Shout out to XM Radio. And, we were like, oh, it's over, right? And then all of a sudden, it's called back. So I actually still need to see that.
How much time do you spend in your car?
Oh, it's crazy. It was just it's actually that 1 hour. We're going to pick up a new couch for the house, and, I was in the car, and I didn't want to come out, so we're waiting outside the brick, and XM Radio, it showed itself today. This weekend.
Another upset, and this one is a sad upset for me and all my other brethren. On Monday night, the Chicago Bears defeated the Green Bay Packers. But
Cue the violence.
Wish we had producer Gurveer can throw in some violins there. Big loss. And not because they lost the game, but because they lost Aaron Rodgers for an extended period of time, it looks like.
Yes, sir. So the diagnosis right now is a broken collarbone. Some of you know, you probably don't want to break your collarbone, especially when your job in the league is to throw. It's his non-throwing hand, so he might be able to come back sooner than, if it was a throwing hand. So right now it's his timeline of recovery is unknown, but how the Packers looking? Or how's Aaron Rodgers doing? How do you feel?
So in his words, it's a significant injury and a broken collarbone in all intents and purposes. It was a significant injury. They're saying 3 to 4 weeks, which I think we can manage.
With who?
Yeah, that's a good question. With who?
Matt Flynn?
I'm hoping that Eddie Lacy can throw the ball. I'm really hoping that he can throw the ball.
Or, maybe he might break an NFL record for rushing yards because
15,000 rushing attempts in 3 games.
Yeah, because the Packers are known for passing. Backup right now is Seneca Wallace, who's not known for passing. Dual threat quarterback, whatever, but he didn't look good.
He's good on the clipboard and he's good on the bench. Dual threat.
Good in the jersey, just standing on the sideline taking pictures, Instagram pictures with his jersey. So.
Do we need to queue up Tebow watch?
Tebow watch?
I don't think so.
How many times have we done that this year?
I know. But Matt Flynn watch.
That's actually, it's a funny story because he did his thing in, Green Bay and he was too good to be a backup, as it seemed at the time. And he bounced around, maybe 3-4 teams and he's a free agent once again, after being released by Buffalo this last week.
Who's getting back E.J. Manuel, by the way?
Who's getting back E.J. Manuel. So he definitely didn't need Matt Flynn, even though he lost out to Thad Lewis and Jeff Toole. The Toole. So who knows, man? Who knows? Cinderella story. Happy ending maybe for Matt Flynn.
Well,
besides all the money.
For 3 games, Cinderella story.
Hey, quarterback controversy, Controversy? Yeah, I did that one more time. Twice, actually. Twice I did that.
Yeah, I don't think there'll ever be, if...
You just can't say it right. Controversy.
No, well, forget that. But Aaron Rodgers is, and I think you can agree that he is the most accurate passer in the league.
Nick Foles?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we wish Aaron Rodgers well, and fantasy teams all around the world wish Aaron Rodgers well, and we hope to see him back because Green Bay is a good team, and they are a Super Bowl contender now that Eddie Lacy is doing his thing. So we hope to get them back, and it's a tough division. So
once again, Pigskin preview available on the canon.school.ca website, so check it out. We talk a little bit about some of the scary things that happened in the week of Halloween. Mm-hmm. And one of those, or 2 of those things, was a coincidence in my opinion, but it's definitely raising a lot of talk and discussion about this issue, where 2 head coaches suffered major health issues in the same week. John Fox, coach of the Denver Broncos, I believe had to have his aortic valve replaced. And the aortic valve is a key part of the heart.
Yes, sir. So he had heart surgery for our less scientific listeners.
And And that's pretty scary. Apparently, he was trying to delay it till after the Super Bowl.
Right. Which, is passion. He's passionate about his job, right? So.
And then Gary Kubiak, to the shock of many watching the Sunday night game on NBC, collapsed at halftime with a mini stroke.
Yeah. So I mean, luckily, or for the viewers of the game, including myself, it wasn't caught on TV. Which is good. You don't want to have people replaying that in their minds. So it was halftime. They were up on Indianapolis. Everything was going well, and on their way to the locker room, he suffered this mini stroke. So it's kind of tough for the team, which might have affected the second half play actually.
And something that's like Wade Phillips, who took over when Gary Kubiak went down. Was apparently that day they were honoring his dad, Bum Phillips, who was a famous head coach who had passed away. And now he has to deal with the health issues of Gary Kubiak. So a tough time all around for head coaches. And that raises the issue.
Coaches are humans too.
And are they being put under too much stress as football coaches? And are we not paying attention? Like, we pay attention to the players, concussions, knee injuries, all these different things. But we never really talk about head coaches.
Yeah, because people talk about coaches and they're like, listen, you're an old guy, you've had your chance, you've had your time, now you're getting paid to, call the plays or whatever it is. Or sometimes the head coach doesn't even call the plays, right? So he just hires an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and he kind of oversees the entire system, the operation. So no one really pays attention to them. Age-wise, a lot of the head coaches in the league are pushing 60, or average age might be 60. I don't know this research, Gurveer. So you do have that age on their side, and again, most of them all of them are former players. So they've been through this physical, toll on their bodies, and now they're using their minds a lot, which is a big issue, or in the NFL world. And they put under a lot of pressure. Anytime anything happens with a team, anytime anything happens with a player, shout out to Hernandez. You always ask the question, like, didn't the coach see this coming? Where's the coach? Why the coach playing? Why the coach sign this guy if he becomes a bust? Or why can't the coach this guy if it was a high draft pick? And you forget that these guys are humans and they have families and they have personal lives.
So up in Canada, they interviewed, I think it's the head coach of the BC Lions, Wally Buono.
Right.
And apparently and they were talking about, well, what do you think about these stories about these coaches kind of having these health issues? And he had a similar case where apparently he had found out that he had 90% of an artery blocked.
Wow.
But opted to wait until after the Grey Cup.
Yeah, because
to have the surgery done.
Needs me. You know what I mean? That's the mentality with these coaches, and because they're under a short leash in today's NFL.
So is the solution to all of these problems, and we can even extend this into the player world, what about a third-party independent health organization evaluating and making decisions for these players, if they're not going to make the right decision on their own?
But the thing is, it comes down to money aspect as well, right? Contracts, right? Contracts are not guaranteed in the NFL. Sometimes your entire contract is based on how many games you play or coach. I don't know how the coach.
So maybe they need to put this in the contract that you need to undergo a health evaluation every month, and if you do not pass, then you do not get paid.
You would be amazed at the number of injuries that these players have. Even my brother.
But injuries such as bumps and bruises and things like that, that's fine. But we're talking about blocked arteries. This has nothing to do with the game of football.
But if I'm a player and if you find that I have a blocked artery and I'm still doing my thing, or I still feel I could do my thing, who are you to tell me not to play? That's the mentality.
I think it's a wrong mentality. And I think that the NFL, in order to protect its players, has to do something. Maybe you guarantee the contract over certain injuries. Something like that is not qualified. You can't play the game. You have to have the surgery done or whatever.
Yeah, you need some assurance.
And you will be paid.
Yeah, I think the NBA is better for this because players are, it's a long season, 82 games, and players are going to have, leg injuries, knee injuries, and, bumps and all that, right? And you do hear of guys they're out for a week with, stomach aches or the flu and stuff like that, right? And it's not a big deal. But I guess the NFL, just because of the number of games they play, which is much less, 16 in this case, and kind of like every game is seen as having such a big implication on the rest of the season and Super Bowl hopes and playoff positioning and stuff like that. Players are more likely to wait till the off season or at least the start of the season to say, okay, I have the flu, I can't play this week, or I have a stomach bug, I can't play this week.
Do you think anything will happen from this? Any kind of major changes in the operations of head coaches?
Not immediately. I don't expect a lot of changes to be made, except maybe even the hiring of younger coaches, or the hiring of more assistants to take off some of the toll on these coaches. I'm for those solutions. Definitely don't want to take away the coach's responsibility or take away his experience, but the pressure could definitely be spread out more evenly.
Mm-hmm. And we have to also remember that this might be just two random incidents, and maybe we've never really seen this before.
Exactly. So it might have been bound to happen to these two people. They just happen to both be coaches in the same weekend.
Another issue in the NFL that has just shot up to the top of the headlines in the sports world entirely is the issue of bullying. Where Miami Dolphins player Richie Incognito has been accused of harassment and flat-out bullying of his teammate Jonathan Martin.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about this story? This is an interesting and complex story.
Yeah, it's a very complex story, and it's something you don't expect to hear about, especially in the pro sports world. Football, 1, 2, they're both O-line guys, so we're talking what, average size 6'3", 300, or okay, not that much, maybe 6'3", 290 or something as average size of these players. And you hear of a guy leave a team because of bullying, right? And it came out initially as there was a lunchroom incident, and maybe he had some mental health issues, which the team apparently questioned him about. And in the end, more reports came out and more stories came out, and pictures started to become maybe a little clearer or maybe a little more cloudy. But Richie Incognito and maybe some of the veterans might have been buoyed on by the team to make Jonathan Martin tougher, and ended up taking it too far and forcing his toughness a little too much, and I guess ticked off his teammate who was younger, newer in the league, and maybe doesn't know the full breadth of the NFL in terms of what to expect off the field, and the culture of maybe an NFL team, and the toughness and the manhood and proving yourself in front of other people, and I guess even standing up for yourself in terms of being physical with your own teammate.
Should this have come out in the public though? And maybe if the Dolphins, if Martin went to the Dolphins and then they didn't do anything about it, maybe then, it comes out into the public. But
that's what happened.
Well, are we sure that he went? Because I've also read stories that he hasn't really tried to talk to the Dolphins.
Allegedly, he talked to the coach.
And apparently no one on the team, they're interviewing all these players and nobody was aware of the situation, or they're not talking about it at least.
Well, they're split in terms of even now that it's been brought to, the forefront or stuff. Was it Daniel Elderby? I think one of the linebackers said he should have come to the leadership council of the team, right? The players that lead the team.
Well, who is that on the Dolphins? Because it's an interesting organization. They don't have their quarterback is not necessarily an experienced guy.
Second year, third year?
Third year, I believe. Mm-hmm. They don't have really that veteran presence, and Richie Incognito might be one of the leaders on the team. So how do you go?
He's the team enforcer, you know what I mean? So it's like if he's the one bullying you, or if he's the one trying to take your money or whatever it is, and I know there are voicemails and phone calls and text messages, using names and threatening lives and talking about one's family, but is that okay? Just because I'm a big guy, is it okay for that to happen? I mean, rookie hazing and young player hazing are things that are common everywhere, every sport, every school, and these things happen, right? But it's like, when is it too much, and when, or what should the person do about it, and when is it called? Is this actually bullying, as opposed to just you don't know what you signed up for?
And it's a hard question. I don't know how you answer it. So we'll be looking at some of the results and outcomes.
Yeah, so we'll be following the story
of this investigation. The NFL has, I believe, began an investigation into this to look at the Dolphins organization as a whole,
right?
And really look at this issue.
Even implications, sure, they might find out that the coach knew a couple of weeks before, or a month before, or maybe even in the summer, and told Jonathan Martin to take care of it or handle yourself. You're a man or something like that, right? Or you're grown up, you're not a freshman in college, for example, as was Antrell Roll said. You know what I mean? It's like this. Antrell Roll said this could not happen to me because it just can't happen to me. And I personally have said stuff like that. I mean, it just can't happen to me. You know what I mean? Because maybe I think I'll stand up for myself. Maybe I think no one will ever try that with me because, it's going to be a thing. But is it okay just because he's a big guy to do this? And we'll see. We'll follow the story.
I'll end it on this. I don't know how you can, at least as an organization, the NFL can allow for things like this to happen, and then at the same time present a message to the youth
exactly
of that watch them, that they're role models to, about how bullying is bad and anti-bullying. So that's my stance on it. We'll leave it at that, and then we'll maybe pick up on this. You got one more point?
Yeah, just the last point. The current status of both players, just so everyone's aware, is Richie Incognito has been suspended by the Dolphins. There's talk that he might not play for the Dolphins organization ever again. Not talk that he might not be in the league, because this doesn't actually, it's not an on-the-field incident. It's more off-the-field and more image-based for him personally. And Jonathan Martin right now is not with the team, so he's left the team. He's still being paid, so, but the question is, he's actually considering stopping playing football. And this is a guy who was a second-round pick, 2 years ago, 2011, I think. And so he's making some decent money, and he has high potential. He went to Stanford. His entire family graduated from Harvard. So, he's not some average, this is all I know how to do kind of guy. So I wish both of them the best, and we'll follow the story to see what happens.
So quickly, game of the week. We don't have producer Gurveer here, so we don't know our records. Thank you, producer Gurveer, for that. So OT does not have to suffer from any embarrassment, but I believe 2 weeks ago when we last picked, we both went 2-0.
Okay.
So unfortunately, producer.
And I picked first, by the way, guys.
Producer Gurveer not here to inform us on that. What are we talking about this week? What are our game of the weeks this week, OT? I think we have 3 of them.
Yes, sir. First one is the Bengals versus the Ravens. That's a division game. Kind of flipped from what you might expect from last season or a few years ago, in that Bengals are favorite to win now. Baltimore is struggling. They lost to Cleveland this past weekend. And Bengals are coming off a win, I believe. I can't remember. I think they beat Detroit. Not sure. But Bengals are looking good. AJ Green is doing his thing, leading the league in yardage, receiving yardage. And I'm going with the Bengals this week by 10.
Yeah, that Giovanni Bernard is just killing my fantasy.
Ooh, he had this one run. That was amazing.
But the Ravens actually aren't that bad of a team. They've had some bad losses.
But they lost to Cleveland.
They lost
Jason
to Cleveland,
Campbell.
but so did a lot of teams. Didn't the Bengals lose to Cleveland as well?
Yeah, but not Jason Campbell.
Who did they lose to? Brian Hoyer,
Brandon Whedon. Jason Campbell's the third choice. I know he's a veteran. I know he was the starter for Oakland and Chicago and whatever. Washington for a very long time, but he's still the third choice. You know what I mean?
I like the Ravens defense, and and after watching Cincinnati last week against Miami, I think they're beatable.
Miami.
And I'm going to take the Ravens by 3. So there's an upset for you.
Okay, there you go. So we're going against each other. So there's going to be, we're not going to have the same record. Maybe.
Well, we're definitely not going to have the same record no matter what, but we're not going to have the same record.
Listen, clean slate, man. Clean slate.
Never clean slate. Detroit, Chicago. Division rivalry. Tied in a 3-way tie with the Packers.
Okay.
Chicago coming off that fluke win, lucky win against the Packers.
I wouldn't call it so lucky. Josh McCown did his thing, so.
Yeah, but.
Brandon Marshall did his thing.
They were playing against a high school quarterback. What do you want?
Wow. Seneca Wallace has been starting this league,
Because somebody else got hurt, right?
Yeah. Just pick your team. Pick a team.
I'm taking the Lions by 14. The Lions, in my opinion, have one of the best offenses in the NFL. After what they did against the Cowboys, I have no reason to doubt the Lions unless they're going up against the Packers.
I'm going Bears by 7. I trust the Chicago defense. They will force some turnovers this week. They will harass Matthew Stafford. And I don't think they'll allow the pass game to develop until maybe the fourth quarter when they start playing off defense. So.
When the Lions just take over and win on the last second drive.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I'm going with the Bears by 7. Josh McCown, couple touchdowns here and there. Reggie Bush Matt Forte doing this thing. The offense is looking really, when Cutler gets back. Talking Forte, Jeffrey, Marshall, whoever the tight end is, Bennett, right?
Martellus
Bennett. They're looking good.
Okay, so we're split again. This is very good. No unanimity.
Yes, sir. We pick according to our knowledge of the game, not whatever Swap picks.
Although you would be pretty well off. FYI,
Yeah.
let's see if I can get my record out here. So far my record is 74-48.
Not on the show, but in his pigskin.
No, in my pigskin preview. Pick, so that's a better representation.
What was that, 74-48?
Yeah.
It's very nice, very
good.
nice, very nice. Last game of the week that we're going to talk about this week is Cowboys Saints.
So the Packers-Eagles game was to be the Sunday night game. They got bumped for this game.
They got bumped for this game. I wonder why, Rogers.
Yeah. But it's a good game. We got the Cowboys, high-flying offense.
Oh, that's a good game, too.
What, Packers-Eagles?
Whoa, sorry, would have been.
Seneca Wallace versus Nick Foles?
Go on.
The quarterback matchup of the century. Anyway, so Tony Romo's looking good except for those fourth quarter interceptions, which he threw another one this week, although they were able to come back with the last second win. It seems like the Cowboys always play these amazing games.
I think they learned something from Detroit after Detroit did the exact same thing to them.
No, but like the Cowboys are all, and I guess it's the first time they've been on the winning side, but they're always in these close games. Anyway,
you know why they won this week? Or last week? Because they threw the ball to Dez Bryant when it mattered.
Passion by Bryant. Dez Bryant and Kobe Bryant need to get into a room and have a discussion.
You know, they could learn a lot from each other, and I think Dez Bryant could get some maturity from Kobe.
The Saints, however, came off a pathetic loss against the New York Jets and Geno Smith, the Ryan battle, Rex Ryan versus Rob Ryan.
Right. Second time they've played a Northeast team this year. They've lost both games, Patriots and Jets. And the brotherly matchup. Rob Ryan has never beat Rex Ryan. 5-0 Rex Ryan is versus Rob Ryan.
There you go. But the Saints are still really good. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees. They have some good receivers. Defense is not bad. I'm taking the Saints by 3. What are you taking?
Taking the Cowboys by 10, which is amazing when you think about the Saints offense. But then,
so OT is clearly desperate to try to get back into this race. That's why he's picking against us.
If I win all my matchups,
we're talking basketball next. We got our guest coming in pretty soon, so stay tuned. You're listening to In the Core.
This song is called I Am Sad, So Very, Very Sad. Thank you.
Okay, so we are back again with In the Core, and this time we're going to switch gears and talk some NBA and basketball. Swap mentioned at the top of the show, basketball and NBA is in full swing. What was it? I think we're about 6 or 7 games in now, which is a small sample space, but we're still getting a good idea of what to expect from this season, and there's some interesting things going on so far.
Miami losing 2 games.
2 games
against Philadelphia. And who's the other team?
I can't remember right now. Not the Raptors though, because they beat the Raptors.
It wasn't a good team. I think it was Brooklyn.
I watched that game actually. I watched that game. Paul Pierce, doing his thing. He actually blocked LeBron on one of these moves. And I'm just like, okay, he still got it.
So Miami definitely not out to the start that we thought. They beat the Raptors.
Well, yeah, the Raptors even.
One of our classmates actually was at that game, the Raptors Miami game. So
I wanted to be at that game,
and he got tickets last minute.
How you know how much?
No. Apparently, one of his friends who were gonna go came sick, and then
I need new friends. You know what I mean? I need new friends.
Excuse me? I thought we were going to the Raptors game on like the...
Yeah, but it's so far, if you had tickets to, see Houston or whatever,
Detroit's a good team.
They're a good team. Decent team. Okay, so
Philadelphia,
Raptors.
though, the team that beat Miami, supposedly the worst team in the NBA, was supposed to tank.
I actually picked them to be in the sweepstakes for number 1 pick, so I might need to get my skills checked.
They were supposed to tank for Andrew Wiggins
or
and
whoever ends up being
they
number 1.
They beat both Miami and Chicago.
Right. So, there's a little surprise going on in Philly right now, and they have a young team actually led by Evan Turner and Michael Carter-Williams. So, Philly's looking all right. They're 3-2 right now. They've lost the last 2 games, but let's look for them to pick things back up. 2 players who are back this season: Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose. And Kevin Love. Okay, 3 players. So Westbrook and Love doing their thing, back to where they were. And Rose is, still trying to find his way, still struggling a little bit. So we'll give him some time. Chicago's looking all right. They're doing all right in the East. They won't make the playoffs. It's just about how well Rose can do and how far he can take them. Who's real and who's not. So it's my new favorite segment. Indiana, led by Paul George and Roy Hibbert. Golden State, led by Steph Curry, who was actually injured yesterday, and Iguodala, who's been a great addition to the team, and Klay Thompson, who might actually contend with Kevin Durant this year for the scoring title. Miami, they don't really care about the regular season. They're still going to lead the East. They're still going to do their thing. So look out for them. Even though they've lost a couple of games, they're still going to do their thing. So Miami's still up there. Rockets, going to the West, James Harden and Dwight Howard leading the Rockets 4-1 right now. Spurs, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan. So the actual passing of the whatever hasn't happened as I predicted, but who knows? Timberwolves, Kevin Love being back and Ricky Rubio being back as well, doing their thing right now. And Phoenix, surprise team. I think they're 3-1 or 3-2 right now.
That's not going to last.
It's not going to last? You don't think so?
That's a who's not.
Okay. Well, it's more about Eric Bledsoe and him breaking out this season.
Not happening.
Not happening? Okay, Swap. What? You write for the Canon for NBA?
I do write for the Canon, but
not for NBA.
Did we talk about Russell Westbrook?
Yeah, I talked to him earlier, but you want to add a few words?
All I'm saying is this guy's the most explosive player in the NBA.
Wow, you're taking it away from Rose?
Yeah, I've watched Rose play this year, and I don't know if he's back 100%.
Nah, I mean, he was out much longer than Westbrook, so it's tough to compare them.
Westbrook is, and you got to watch. This is my favorite player in the NBA by far. Kyrie Irving's going to take that spot pretty soon.
Pretty soon? We're still waiting for that? Because it was supposed to happen already. Well, again, it's a small sample size. What is it?
Well, okay, if we're going to talk about Kyrie Irving, let's talk about Anthony Bennett, your boy from Brampton.
I was trying to ease into it, but Bennett right now, he's struggling, to say the least. He's made one field goal out of God knows how many shots he's taken, and it's just not happening yet for him. He's doing other things on the court. He's getting a few rebounds.
Hopefully,
he's getting a few
Andrew
blocks.
Wiggins won't follow the same path.
Hopefully. I mean, Wiggins is looking good in preseason games, dunking on everyone and all that. But Anthony Bennett, man, if you're listening to me, I follow you on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I know you listen to this show, so find your way, young man.
What should our basketball listeners look out for this week? Anything cool? Anything interesting that's coming up?
I don't know about this week, but I mean, for the rest of the season, you definitely want to look at a few players that you might not have heard of. Nikola Vucevic, Mr. 30-20.
Who hasn't heard of this player?
Anthony Davis, actually, last year's number 1 overall pick. He's doing his thing.
He's killing it, but they're losing.
Yeah, but that's what happened with Kevin Love last season, and
but Kevin Love was injured.
No, before he was injured.
Fine.
He's still a top 10 player. Who else should you look out for? Dwight Howard, is actually settling in Houston. No Dwight Mayer anymore, so.
I have not heard his name in the last 2 weeks, which means he's probably doing an
amazing.
Okay job.
And they're 4-1, and he's averaging like 17 and 14. So
all right, not bad.
He's back. Michael Carter-Williams, a new name.
I know, rookie of the year.
Yeah, so he's similar to Damian Lillard and this Portland team last year. They will have an up and down season, but it's looking like things are not so bad in the city of brotherly love. And on the dud side of things, we need Rose to regain his confidence. And he had one game winner this year. Can't take that away from him, but we need him to become more explosive. Zach Randolph, Zebo, one of the toughest players in the league. He's struggling right now, so we're looking for him to get back to things. And Mr. Shaqtin' a Fool himself, JaVale McGee, needs to really step up his game. And I mean, he's probably blocking shots, and I haven't seen his highlights just yet, so maybe he's not.
Has he been on Shaqtin' a Fool yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet.
I need to get
shout out to Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. They're putting up some sick numbers.
Very good. Who lost to Orlando last week? So very timely.
Yeah. So the Clippers, everyone's favorite team, or everyone's pick in the West to get to the NBA Finals, need to, get things going, because Golden State have started strong, Houston has started strong, and the Spurs are still strong. Tim Duncan, fountain of youth.
So our guest has arrived, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk some FIFA 2014 with you. You're listening to In the Core.
In the Bradley Center. The whole bunch was up enjoying that one as AB got one to go. Maybe that'll get some of the pressure off him. I'm sure he's been feeling that. Welcome to the NBA, young fella. It finally gets one to go down.
Okay, so you're back with In the Core, and now that our guest is settled and everything is set up, we can get into the cool part of
Can I give a Twitter update?
Twitter update, okay.
Twitter Watch 2014.
Yeah,
as for those of you who just are joining us right now, Twitter had its IPO this morning, debuting at $26 a share. It had been up close to $50 a share earlier at the 11 o'clock hour when we started the show. We mentioned at the last break it was down to 45. It's hovering around 45, 46, guys. So it looks like it's going to stable out. But our expert, Jonathan Hamway, who we bashed earlier, has told us that
Shout out to
he highly doubts that these levels will last throughout the week. So, guys, careful.
Yes, sir. See, our expertise, we don't just bring you sports. We bring you current affairs, and we try and guide your lives. But, yeah, we're going to introduce our guest now. We're going to get into the cool part of the show. So, Eddy, say a few words about yourself and why you're here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Eddy. I'm a third-year industrial engineer. So I'm pretty much here today to talk about one of my greatest passions, playing FIFA Ultimate Team. So basically, just to give a brief introduction, for those of you who have played FIFA, there's this new mode that I think was introduced in 2009. So essentially what Ultimate Team is trying to do is combining the basics of trading card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and they're trying to mix that with how people traditionally play FIFA. So you always start out with a set of players that you get. They're usually not that great. So the whole idea is
swap on that team.
So the whole idea is you start building your team. You play games either with people online or you play against the computer. As you play, and depending if you win or lose, you get coins. So these coins will be used for you to upgrade your team.
Not Bitcoins, though. Not Bitcoins.
Not Bitcoins. Yeah, definitely not Bitcoins. That's too high class for this. So basically, once you have the money, you can buy players on the market, which is determined by other players, or you can buy packs and you can try your luck. Sometimes you might get a really nice player like Cristiano Ronaldo. And Sometimes. Okay, not sometimes. Pretty much probably once in 5 lifetimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might take a chance, but go on.
Okay, so right now, the hierarchy in FIFA is basically they divide players in terms of their stats. So you have your bronze players, which is kind of in the 50s, the 60s. You have silvers, 60s touching 70s. Gold players are roughly 75 to 99. So those are their overall ratings. So in Ultimate Team, there are 6 main attributes that you are looking for, which is pace, shooting, passing, dribbling, defending, and heading. This year, what makes FIFA 14 a lot better than the previous FIFAs is that they have reduced the effect of speed on the game. So previously, if you play Ultimate Team in the previous FIFAs, it was always annoying because people just have players with really fast stats, and you basically just give them high through balls and they just run the goal and they score. So this time, the main emphasis is you have to play more methodically. You have to pass the ball a lot more, and you dribble past players. So this adds a lot of dimension strategy into the game, and it definitely makes games a lot more balanced.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, so from my understanding, right, when you join the community or when you start up a new FIFA Ultimate Team, you start in Division 10.
Yeah.
And you play a certain number of games against, like you said, computer and against other people in your division. And you have to accumulate a certain number of wins or points. And what are you up to right now, or how long have you been playing?
Okay, so with my busy engineering schedule, I try my best to play as much as I can. So right now, I think I'm on Division 6 or 7.
Very nice.
So basically, I think in terms of my records, I think I'm winning mostly, drawing maybe 10 games, and I'm losing maybe 6 or 7. In total, I think I played around 60 games, so it's maybe around 30, 20, 10. Yeah, that's my record for now.
And how do you progress from, what do you call it, division? How do you move up to higher division?
Okay, so basically, when you go into divisions, you have a set number of games. So every division, you have 10 games. And at each division, you have a certain number of points to not get relegated. So you hold your division.
Oh, so you can go down.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Okay. So if in the end of 10 games, you have points lower than the threshold, you get kicked out of the division and you move down. You have another level of points, which if you exceed that, you are promoted into the next division. And another set of points that if you collect, you win the league, pretty much.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so for your team specifically, you only have one team right now?
Yeah, I pretty much have one team.
Okay, so who would you say are your best couple of players? You have some gold players in there.
Oh, yeah, I do. I've been saving up a lot in terms of playing FIFA. I've played the previous ones, and it gave me a lot of experience in how to negotiate markets.
Oh, okay.
So I try to take advantage of market inefficiencies when people put Lucas Podolski for 3,000 when he's valued at 6,000. I try to bid it, and I try to get it as soon as I can.
Cool.
Because the auction process is actually quite intense sometimes. people can like increase values for players. Like you might have like 10 seconds left,
right?
And a player is worth like 1,000 at that time you saw him, but by the end of that 10 seconds he goes up to like 5,000.
Well, it's like a Twitter IPO thing going on here.
Yeah. So these people are intense.
So this is real time in terms of the bidding on players.
Time.
Okay, so like if you're online and you have a minute left and you're bidding on a player, other people have to be online at the same time to bid for that player and get that player.
That's right.
Okay, so what are your thoughts in terms of, you have a team right now, you have gold players, you have silver players and bronze players. How do you balance out the skill in your team, or how do you balance out the star power of your team?
Okay, so in terms of like managing the team chemistry, pretty much, it's always better for you to play players in the same like class. So I predominantly deal with gold players, and my preference is on Barclays Premier League players, because I personally follow the Premier League a lot, and I have a lot of my favorite players in my team. So in terms of balancing, the one thing that made FIFA 14 this year a lot easier compared to previous ones is usually once you have a card, your card would have like 3 unique set of attributes. They would have a preferred formation,
nice,
preferred club, and nationality. So basically, if you want to maximize your chemistry, you want to make sure that all those 3 things are the same for everyone. So if you want to play a 4-4-2 formation, you want to make sure that all the players in your team have a preferred formation set to 4-4-2. So that way, the chemistry is a lot higher, and you have a higher chance of making passes and scoring.
How many players do you have on your roster?
On my roster, I think it's around 100 plus, because I keep buying packs and opening them, but I just discard everyone that's not important. I primarily maybe deal with like 20 players. Yeah, just enough for like 2 teams.
Definitely, a squad, yeah. Okay. I said roster when I should have said squad. You know, I know my soccer, people. I know my soccer. Okay. So you're a fan of the game. You're a fan of FIFA, and you've been playing Ultimate Team for a while now. So, and you mentioned some of the things that are improved and some of the things that are new, and how you've used the old versions. How would you advise new players coming into the game to maximize strategies, maximize performance, to move on quick, if I can say that?
So, well, basically, the first thing that I would say is you have to get in the game, and you gotta do a lot of research. So, one of the things that I found really good was when you're starting off playing FIFA, it's always good to know your playing style. So, I noticed there's a dichotomy when you play like Ultimate Team. You have certain players that like to abuse pace. You have certain players that play very methodically and they pass around. And you also have people who, just when they lose 2 goals, they disconnect because they were disappointed and they want to try. So,
right.
Yeah, so there's
you have to persevere.
Yeah, you have to persevere. So how I try to get in the know in terms of my FIFA knowledge is I go to a lot of websites. So Ultimate Team actually has a very strong community. So they have like a lot of websites that give you tips. They can sometimes also give you real-time market trading stats for players. And there's also like YouTube channels where they give you player reviews and they tell you the characteristics of the player and if you should buy them or not.
Okay, and how does the player's rating, if I may use that, improve in the game? Once you get started in an Ultimate Team, is it based on his performance in the game? Is it based on real life? How does that work?
It's a mix of that. The one thing in Ultimate Team right now is they don't have a real time. They don't have like weekly real time player updates. If you play the normal FIFA modes, you have like something called Match Day Live. So basically every week after you play, they update the player's stats accordingly to how the players played in real life. But in Ultimate Team, that doesn't happen. What is instead done is at the end of the week, like maybe like on that, it's normally on a Wednesday. What they do is they give you a team of the week. So basically, these are a list of players that are informed for that current week.
Very nice.
So these players have upgraded stats. So maybe like a player that was previously his original card stats was an 80, maybe now he's an 81 or an 82. Yep.
Okay, and you mentioned a big part of this is the community that's involved in playing FIFA and playing the Ultimate Team. Some of your friends obviously play along as well.
Yep.
Which are you up there in terms of better players?
Well, in terms of like better players, I would say that generally speaking, I know one of my friends, he's made it to Division 1 and he has a really nice Italian league team. He has like Balotelli and all the great players from Juventus and Milan. So I'm probably in the middle class. 'Cause I know some people who haven't started, so they're not as great. Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I'm getting so into this. I forgot about time. How much time do we have left with our guest swap?
We got a couple minutes left. Let's talk some. I apologize. I'm eating at the same time because we've scheduled this podcast during lunch. Let's talk a little bit about the EPL.
Let's talk some EPL. Okay, so this season, one thing I've noticed is that there are a bunch of teams that could actually take the title this year, which is unlike regular season where you have maybe 2 or 3 people who are really up there. But you have 6 teams this year. I'm thinking Chelsea, Man U, maybe not even Man U this season.
Man U, not Man U.
Okay, 5 teams. Chelsea, Spurs, maybe not even Spurs. So maybe you have 4 teams. Chelsea, Man U.
Very robust analysis, you guys.
Chelsea, Man U, Liverpool, who are relevant again, and Arsenal, who's on top of the league right now. What are your thoughts?
Well, the one thing I would say is just to say that I'm impartial, even though I'm a Chelsea fan.
Right. You got to be real. You got to.
You got to be real. So currently, right now, based on how I see it, Arsenal are doing pretty well. They are really punching their weight in the league right now, because previously, before at the start of the season, they started so terribly that everyone was asking Wenger to get sacked. But now with the transfer of Özil into the team, and with Ramsey and Wilshere playing so well, it's very surprising to see how much Arsenal have improved and are doing pretty well. So
is this the year?
This is the year. I wouldn't say just yet. They are honestly a bit thin in terms of squad depth.
Right.
Because if you look at like other clubs, like for example Manchester City, if they don't have Sergio Aguero playing the front line, they can Zeko can play there.
Exactly.
Right. Like sitting on the bench most of the time.
And he's an international player, right?
So there's a lot of depth in other clubs. Arsenal don't really have that, so I'm just waiting for that moment where there's going to be a big injury, and then that's when the crisis will start to begin and the draws are going to come up.
We don't wish injuries on anyone, but it's fine. You're a Chelsea fan, we can't take that away from you. Okay, just on Chelsea, so I give you a chance to talk about your team.
All right, cool.
Torres, Schürrle, they got a nice front line going on, but what do you think about Torres so far? And is he back to close to where he needs to be?
Oh, definitely. I honestly have no opinion on Torres ever since he came. At the start, I was excited, and then when Andre Villas-Boas came along, we thought he was going to come back and deliver £50 million,
Right.
And eventually, I just thought maybe it's not really a good idea to just think about all this in terms of money. Maybe you should just think about the value,
Exactly.
So in terms of Torres, for sure, I would think he's not worth £50 million, but honestly speaking, in terms of his all-around play, that's what's making the team run so well right now. Because we have so many playmakers and all of them can score. Torres is not 100% center forward. He's more of a mix. He can play at the back. He can also play forward. So he can definitely bring the attacking midfielders into the play and definitely contribute in that sense.
Okay, so it's no longer about Torres and fulfilling his $50 million price tag. It's more about just put him on the field, let him do his thing, let him do what comes naturally to him.
Yes.
And he's getting his chance, Special one is back in Chelsea. So what do you think of Chelsea's chances this season?
Chelsea's chances this season? Well, I think we're pretty much competing on all fronts because honestly speaking, I'm honestly a bit disappointed by the fact that Mata isn't playing as much as like Oscar or Hazard.
Okay.
So pretty much every game, if Schürrle, Oscar, and Hazard are playing in the BPL. There's a strong feeling that during even normal cup games like the Capital One Cup or the FA Cup, I'm pretty confident that Mourinho is going to send, instead of those 3 starters, they're going to play Mata or Willian or people who are equally or perhaps even better players. Okay. So we have the depth to succeed in a lot of competitions this season.
Okay, and for our reigning champs, what do you think are their prospects for this season?
Reigning champs. Well, David Moyes, I don't know. I'm a bit iffy about him.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot going on. People have been saying that Moyes definitely does not have the acumen as Sir Alex Ferguson brought into the club.
And Everton is actually above Man U right now.
Yeah.
So you can say that. You can say that.
Yeah. So I guess it's just time for him to adjust and just get players up to par. The one good thing that I would say about Moyes is he definitely has the blooding in of youth into the first team down, because he brought Adnan Zanuzaj into the club and he's doing very well. He scored 2 goals and he's only 18.
Right.
He definitely has a bright future coming ahead of him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we always do this with our guests and we make you predict who you think is actually going to win. So give us your top 3 teams in order in the Premier League this season.
Well, okay. I'm just going to be straight up front here and I'm saying I'm a Chelsea fan, so I would say Chelsea first. I have a good feeling that Liverpool might scratch top 3 and possibly Manchester City second.
Okay. Yeah. And prediction, does Suarez stay with Liverpool after the season?
Suarez, I don't know. It seems as if Brendan Rodgers has made a turnaround with the club. Because
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it might be possible that, possibly during January transfer window, and depending on the result, I think Suarez might not actually move out because the only reason why he wants to move out is he wants to play Champions League.
He wants to play Champions League. Yeah, so if they make it, so he might.
Yeah, if they make it, then he probably will stay. So it's not a problem. And Sturridge is in really good form.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And on just the last note, there was some Champions League this week, so we'll just talk about that a little bit. And we had some big winners this week. Barcelona, Arsenal, who actually went to Dortmund and won. Chelsea also big winners this week. And the Dortmund coach came out and said Arsenal could actually win the Champions League this year. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think Jurgen Klopp was just kind of making Wenger feel a bit more happy with himself. I don't really think that's true.
Right.
And like I said, Arsenal have problems with depth. They don't have players that can replace Özil or Giroud.
Right.
Yeah. So their second bench is, I think, Bentner, and he didn't do very well against Chelsea in the League Cup. So I wouldn't say that just yet, but who knows? Maybe they will buy players in Jan transfer window and they just might have a chance to compete.
Okay. And just off passion and knowledge and current form of play, tell me who's going to make it to the Champions League final. I mean, we usually don't know who's going to play who in the quarterfinals and how it's going to be set up. But so passion, knowledge, and form of play, who do you think is going to be in the finals and who's winning the Champions League this year?
Personally, I think Bayern Munich have a really big chance this year. Barcelona, depending on how well Messi can get on his feet again and start scoring.
Well, he's got 14 goals in 15 games.
Yeah, but he's been on scoring ground. He just started scoring again, right? So, yeah, we'll see. But I think Bayern Munich have a big chance of making it to the final. The other team, I would probably say it would be an English-based club. I don't want to say Chelsea because I don't want to sound biased.
Right.
Yeah, Manchester City have a big chance as well.
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
Because Aguero is on fire right now with his games, so maybe Manchester City, Munich, and I probably think Munich might win it.
Okay, cool. So, last thing before we let you go, is Arsenal winning a trophy this season?
It's been 8 years. I think it might be 9 as well. So, yeah, probably not.
Can I comment on how stylish Eddy is?
Very stylish, not that Gurveer sweater swag.
So we look at myself, I'm okay, but we look at OT. What do you got on your shirt, OT?
It says, I think you're a blank. And I blank you very much. So you don't want to know how I feel about you right now, so.
Catching feelings there, eh?
Hey, feeling ways.
Okay, Eddy, thank you so much. Eddy, you want to stick around? We're just about to wrap up the show. Not much else going on, but we want to stick around, or you gotta head out?
I gotta head out, so. Right.
Oh, that's how you feeling? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, we'll take a break then, and we will let Eddy go, and hopefully you'll join us again in the future. Very robust soccer analysis from Eddy. He's a third-year industrial engineering student. And by the way, let the listeners know where they can find you.
Oh, okay. Well, where can I find me? Well, I don't really have that many social media accounts. I have, pretty much just Facebook. I have a LinkedIn account, but I'm not going to release it unless I have something worthy to put in there. So.
You never know what could come out of being on the show.
This show has taken people to new limits.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, well, I have a Facebook, so it's just my name. Eddy Zulkifly, so you can just find me out through there.
We'll put it up on in the
I can spell
website.
That. I assure you I can spell that.
We got it. Don't worry, guys. Eddy, thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be back quick with the Blitz and everything else. You're listening to In the Core.
Introducing first, weighing 275 pounds, the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, so for the last segment of the show, we're here with the Blitz, the fun part of the show. Not to discredit all the cool stuff, but this is what people really listen to, and I'm about to kick you off, and it might be a minute this week, so
I'm not timing you, so go for it.
All right, okay. So the first story is Ryan Lochte. America's swimming, I don't know, pretty boy, whatever you want to call him. He actually ran into some fans this week, in particular an enthusiastic teenage girl, and he tore his MCL and ACL. So he's going to be out for God knows how long. And
as long as he's back by 2016, does it really matter?
He'll be back by 2016, but it's a crazy story. I mean, swimming's not at the forefront of anyone's mind right now, but
I never knew Ryan Lochte had fans.
Very unfortunate. Switching gears, there's Packers Bears game this weekend. Swap brought that up earlier.
This is a crazy story.
What he didn't bring up is the fact that a man and his wife, who were both drinking at the time, actually bet on each other about, I guess, who's going to win the game, and he ended up, Beers won. She's a Beers fan. He's a Packers fan, and I don't know what.
Other way around.
Other way around. She's a Packers fan. He's a Beers fan, and I guess whoever's team won got to taser the other person. So with his wife holding the camera, he decided to tase her 2 times on camera while she was laughing. But after the camera stopped rolling, he tased her 1 more time, I guess, just for the other times that she pissed him off. So she got upset. She called the police, and crazy story. But that's
we don't condone this sort of behavior.
We don't condone that behavior. I don't taser swap unless. I don't taser swap.
That's wrong, man.
Maybe one day, but I don't taser swap. And last story, the Knicks cheerleaders. Next time you see the Knicks cheerleaders, don't think of them as just beautiful faces and amazing dances and all that. They're actually very smart people. A couple of them actually, there was an article this week where one of them has a degree in biomedical engineering and a minor in computational neuroscience. And she's a first-year dancer for the Knicks, so smarter than me, amazingly, because I'm really smart. And second one, graduate from University of Missouri with a cum laude.
Which means like you're top in your class.
Which means she's smart. Yeah. She holds a degree in medical engineering. Wait, I got it mixed up. The second girl, she holds a degree in medical engineering from Duke, which is top school, obviously. And she's worked as a management consultant, so she's better than Swap.
Wait a minute. No, hold on. Where has she worked? Can we say her?
Let's not get into it. You know, we don't want to release her identity and all that.
Okay.
But she's smart. She's worked as a management consultant, and she's worked with government and academic institutions. So,
FYI, I worked as a management consultant and will work as a management consultant. So there's nothing that's.
So there you go. Maybe Swap might be a future.
But we have things to talk about.
Raptors.
Is that the Blitz?
That's the end of the Blitz.
Good. 3 topics. Very good.
Good ones.
Okay, so we need to wrap the show up. But before, something important to me and important to a lot of Canadians. This Monday is Remembrance Day. So for those of you who have lived in Canada in the past, you know the drill. Take the time to, the 11th minute of the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. 11/11 on November 11th. Take a few moments to pause and remember those who sacrificed, World War I at Vimy Ridge, World War II in Normandy, the Korean War, the peacekeeping missions, the Gulf War, Afghanistan, and those who are serving right now. Find yourself a Royal Canadian Legion poppy, and I'm holding one up for those of you in the studio to see. And like I mentioned, OT, the middle is now black, where in the past it used to be green back in my childhood days. But, any donation is a worthy donation, and you really have no excuse. Even if you're not Canadian, if you live in this country and you take advantage of the freedoms that you have here, you gotta go and wear one of these and show your support. That's all I gotta say. We'll post a picture online. Final words, OT.
Join our Movember team. We'll post a link to that. So, join our team. Donate some money.
Team RS Lab.
Yes, sir.
FYI,
yes, sir.
Where we hang out.
Yeah, we're always there. If you want to see our beautiful faces. And Swap's amazing swag, since he's number 2 in the room right now, definitely check us out on RS Lab.
And not much happening this weekend. Hopefully we'll get some snow. There might be some flurries.
Some tennis. But we'll
talk some tennis. Yeah, we got a special guest hopefully next week. Hopefully Gurveer is back from his injuries and whatever else he's doing. That was a good show. You're listening to In the Core. Catch us on Twitter at InTheCore1. Hopefully we'll increase our following there. Facebook, www.facebook.com/InTheCore1.
I'm sure that's what it is.
And we want to hear your comments, and we want to hear what you're saying. Catch our articles on canon.school.ca. But have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.
You numbered a dozen upon my return. We're 100 or so from the coast and from the prairies. I bet they keep coming. Add one more name from Ontario and carry me home down the highway of heroes. People above with the flags flying low.